I'm Katelyn, 31, software engineer in Phoenix. I sat in my cramped studio crunching off-brand cereal when my phone buzzed with yet another Zelle request from my sister. 4 years. 4 full years of funding her rent, her clothes, her everything while I lived on scraps. Tonight I typed no and hit send, and that one word lit the fuse for a family BBQ that would burn everything down. My parents called me stingy right there at the dinner table after I refused to give more, but they had no idea what 4 years of support actually drained from me. The real story unfolded in ways none of us expected. Before I reveal how the backyard turned into a battlefield, hit that like button if you've ever been the family bank and subscribe because the twist waiting at the end will leave you speechless. 4 years earlier in Seattle, rain tapped against my apartment window as I microwaved another pack of instant noodles. A knock came at the door, urgent and uneven. I opened it to find my younger sister Jocelyn standing there, 25, fresh out of graphic design school, eyes swollen from crying. She dropped her soaked backpack and collapsed onto my couch without a word at first. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. "Sis, I'm in deep trouble. I racked up $10,000 on credit cards during senior year party supplies, stupid stuff I thought I could handle later." I set the noodles aside and sat across from her, watching her twist the hem of her hoodie. She explained how the minimum payments were eating her alive now that she had no income, and our parents in Tucson had discovered the statements. Dad had given her an ultimatum sorted out by month's end or figure life on her own. My stomach knotted. I had always been the fixer, the one with the steady job as a software engineer. Jocelyn was the creative spark, the one who lit up rooms. Seeing her this broken pulled at something deep. I asked how the debt had climbed so high. She shrugged, embarrassed. Late-night food runs, portfolio materials, going out to stay inspired. It snowballed. Those puppy dog eyes she had used since childhood surfaced again. "You're the only one who can help. I swear, give me 6 months to land a design gig and I'll pay back every cent." I thought about the times she had dragged me to her college art shows, made me feel included, even when I felt out of place. This was my chance to return the favor. I pulled out my phone, opened the banking app, and transferred $12,000 to clear the cards. 2 extra for a fresh start. She stared at the confirmation screen, tears shifting from panic to relief. Within days, she found a modest studio in Austin for $1,400 a month. I covered the security deposit and first month's rent, then helped her pick out basic furniture from discount stores. She talked nonstop about job boards, freelance sites, and building her portfolio. Watching her unpack boxes and pin mood boards to the wall filled me with quiet hope. This could be the push she needed to stand on her own. I called our parents that evening on video. Mom Susan beamed the moment Jocelyn's face appeared on screen. "Your sister is a lifesaver," she said, voice thick with pride. Dad Mark nodded vigorously. "Taking care of family like that, real maturity. We're proud of you both." For the first time in years, their approval landed squarely on me. Jocelyn kept thanking me in texts, sending photos of her new workspace, promising updates on interviews. The first couple of months felt promising. She submitted applications daily, attended virtual portfolio reviews, and sounded energized. I believed the 6-month timeline was realistic. She even sent me screenshots of rejection emails explaining how competitive the Austin design scene was. "They want 2 years of experience," she texted one night. "I'm building side projects to fill the gap." I encouraged her, shared job boards, and kept the transfers coming, rent, utilities, a cheap laptop upgrade, so her software ran smoothly. Each time she said, "Just a little longer." I started tracking expenses in a simple spreadsheet, not out of suspicion yet, but to make sure I stayed on budget. My own savings for a down payment sat untouched, but I told myself it was temporary. Jocelyn's gratitude felt genuine. She FaceTimed from coffee shops between interviews, showed me mock-ups she was proud of, and always ended with "I owe you big time." One evening, she called excited about a potential freelance client who needed branding for a local cafe. "If this lands, I can cover groceries myself," she said. I smiled, transferred another 800 for the month, and crossed my fingers. The client fell through 2 weeks later, budget cuts, she explained, but she was already lining up the next lead. Our parents checked in regularly. Mom asked if Jocelyn was eating well. Dad wanted to know about job prospects. I gave positive updates, glossing over the growing monthly total. They praised my patience, called me the family anchor. The role fit, and I wore it willingly. By the end of month 3, Jocelyn had a part-time gig doing social media graphics for a small startup, 600 a month. "It's not much," she admitted, "but it's a foot in the door." I reduced my transfer to 1,000, thinking independence was close. She thanked me again, promised the gap would shrink soon. Monthly FaceTime calls from Austin became routine. The first month stayed simple, 1,800 for rent. My sister explained the studio's location near downtown made commuting to potential interviews easier, and I agreed it made sense. I sent the transfer without hesitation, glad to see her settling in. By month 4, the requests expanded. She needed extra for groceries since freelance leads required meeting clients over coffee, plus gas to drive across town for print shops. "Networking events pop up last minute," she said, during one call showing me an invitation to a local design mixer. I added 400 on top of rent, figuring face-to-face connections could land her something solid. As year 1 rolled into year 2, the totals climbed steadily. Utilities crept in, then a gym membership to stay sharp and confident. She landed occasional freelance gigs, logos for small businesses, but payments arrived late or fell short. "Clients drag their feet," she vented, "but I need reliable internet for revisions." I bumped the monthly amount to 2,200, then 25, telling myself the investment would pay off once she stabilized. The real shift hit around month 14. During a video call, she panned her phone around the apartment to show new shelving for her art supplies. In the background sat a sleek Gucci tote on the counter tag, still dangling next to a pair of designer sneakers I recognized from online ads, costing over 300. My fork paused mid-air. "Nice bag," I said casually. She laughed it off. "Clearance find helps me look the part when pitching to agencies." I let it slide at first, but the image lingered. My own fridge held mostly generics, and my house fund remained frozen. That weekend, I called Mom. "The expenses keep growing, and I spotted luxury items." She sighed patiently. "Your sister needs a professional image to compete in creative fields. Cut her some slack." Dad jumped in on speaker. "Don't micromanage her progress. Family supports without strings." Their words stung, but I swallowed the doubt. I adjusted my budget tighter, swapping fresh produce for canned, skipping weekend outings with coworkers. Instant noodles became dinner 4 nights a week. My savings app showed the down payment goal slipping further out of reach, but I pushed the worry aside. Month 18 brought another jump, 2,800 total. She claimed rising Austin rents forced a unit upgrade in the same complex, better lighting for photo shoots, closer to industry hubs. Agencies expect polished presentations, she reasoned. I transferred without protest, though my stomach twisted each time the confirmation popped up. Doubt crept in during quiet moments. I noticed her social feeds filling with cafe brunches and boutique window shopping captions about hustle vibes. When I mentioned cutting back, she countered with stories of near misses, almost hired by a startup final round with a marketing firm. "I just need to maintain momentum," she pleaded. I relented, reducing my own subscriptions to free tiers. One evening, after a long coding shift, I opened my banking app and stared at the outgoing history. The numbers formed a steady upward line, mirroring her lifestyle upgrades, while mine flattened. I closed the screen, heated water for another noodle pack, and promised myself this phase would end soon. Late one night in Phoenix, I scrolled through Instagram to unwind. A notification flashed. My sister had posted a story. I tapped it open and froze at the screen. There she was in a lavish Nashville hotel suite, marble counters gleaming under soft lights, holding a flute of champagne, beside a guy I had never seen. The caption read, "Networking trip, with major partners, big things coming." The video looped for 15 seconds. They clinked glasses, laughed at some inside joke. The camera panning slowly to a king bed piled with shopping bags from high-end stores like Nordstrom and Louis Vuitton. A room service cart sat nearby, silver domes lifted to reveal steak and desserts. The suite's balcony overlooked downtown lights, and a bottle of Veuve Clicquot chilled in an ice bucket. My pulse quickened. Nashville meant round-trip flights, upscale lodging, Ubers, dinners out, none of which fit her claims of barely covering basics. I screenshot every frame, including the geotag pinned to the Hermitage Hotel, and called her immediately, the ringtone cutting through the quiet apartment. She answered on the third buzz, voice bubbly from whatever celebration was unfolding, music thumping faintly in the background. "Hey, what's up? Kind of in the middle of something. Who's paying for a $500 a night suite?" I asked, keeping my tone even despite the heat rising in my chest. She hesitated for a split second, then laughed lightly. "Relax, it's Tyler, my boyfriend. He got a huge work bonus and surprised me with the getaway. I didn't touch your money for this, promise. It's all on him." Tyler leaned into frame, then waving casually with a wide grin, introducing himself smoothly. "Nice to finally meet you virtually. Your sister talks about you all the time, says you're the real MVP." He wore a tailored shirt, clearly dressed for the occasion, and raised his glass in a mock toast. I nodded politely, but questions swirled faster. How long had they been dating? Why no mention before dropping thousands on a spontaneous weekend? And why was her story tagged with professional hashtags if it was purely personal? I pressed gently. "The caption says, 'Networking trip.' Which partners?" She waved a hand dismissively. "Just blending fun with a quick meetup. Tyler knows people in music branding. Nothing formal, but doors could open." The excuse felt rehearsed, and Tyler chimed in supportively. "Totally my treat. Wanted to spoil her after all the job stress." I hung up after a few more pleasantries, the call leaving a sour taste. Sleep evaded me entirely that night. I reopened the banking app on my laptop, scrolling back to the previous week under brighter light. A transfer for $3,000 stared back in bold, labeled simply "event support." She had requested it days before the trip, insisting a regional design conference required early bird registration, portfolio printing, and travel buffer. The dates aligned too perfectly. Departure the morning after the transfer cleared. Curiosity turned into investigation. I checked my email for any forwarded confirmations she sometimes sent. Buried in promotions sat a Southwest Airlines receipt. She had accidentally CC'd me on 2 round-trip tickets, Austin to Nashville, totaling $940. Another email showed a hotel reservation under Tyler's name, but the confirmation noted a credit card ending in the same last 4 digits as one of her old accounts I had once helped pay off. I replayed the story clips on mute, zooming on details: the effortless way she navigated the suite, the branded shopping bags with receipts peeking out, the casual luxury that contradicted every update about scraping by on freelance scraps. It clashed violently with the reality I knew. The next morning, after a restless few hours, I phoned our parents and laid out the screenshots during a group video call. Mom brushed it off first, sipping coffee. "Your sister deserves a break after grinding on applications." "Don't turn a little fun into suspicion," Dad added firmly from his recliner. "She's allowed a personal life without your approval. Back off the interrogation, she's building something." Their defense echoed past conversations, but this time the evidence felt concrete, layered, undeniable. I muted the call after polite goodbyes, staring at the frozen image of champagne flutes catching the light. The gap between her reality and mine had become a chasm, and I could no longer pretend otherwise. That Sunday, the family BBQ had started, light ribs sizzling on the Weber cold beers passed around the picnic table, laughter over old vacation stories. My sister pulled up in a sleek Tesla Model Y, its white exterior catching the afternoon sun as she hopped out with a confident wave. Heads turned. Dad whistled low. "Whoa, look at that ride! New wheels!" She beamed, running her hand along the hood. "Leased it last week." Can't meet clients looking outdated, right? This thing screams professional quiet drive autopilot for long hauls to agencies. Mom clapped her hands together. "Perfect for your hustle. Come give me a hug before you spoil us with stories." I watched from my lawn chair, sipping iced tea, the numbers from years of transfers flashing unbidden. The car's lease sticker still peeked from the window. Model Y long range, 49,000 base. I waited for the right opening as plates filled with coleslaw and corn. "Nice upgrade," I said mildly over the clatter of forks. "How's the final semester tuition looking? Deadline's next month?" "Yeah." Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. The backyard chatter dipped slightly, everyone glancing her way. She set the utensil down carefully, forcing a smile. "Oh, it's handled. I've got a payment plan in motion." The words hung vague, and I caught the flicker in her eyes. Hesitation, quick calculation. I pressed gently, keeping my voice steady amid the sizzle of turning meat. "Good to hear. Mind showing the confirmation? I can double-check if needed." She shifted in her seat, glancing at her phone as if expecting a miracle notification. Nothing came. The silence stretched, broken only by the pop of a beer tab. "Actually," I continued, leaning forward, "while we're on finances, can you pull up the lease agreement for that Tesla? I'd like to see the guarantor section. Just curious who's backing it." Her hand trembled slightly as she unlocked the screen, scrolling through apps with deliberate slowness. The group waited, forks paused midair, the air thickening with unspoken tension. She fumbled longer than necessary, muttering about spotty service, but the search yielded nothing. "It's probably in the glove box," she offered, weakly, color draining from her face. "I'll grab it after dessert." The excuse landed flat, and I saw the first real crack in her polished front. Across the table, my Aunt Diane arched an eyebrow, her expression shifting from casual interest to quiet scrutiny. She had flown in from Phoenix for the weekend, always the one who noticed what others glossed over. "That's a hefty commitment for a lease," she commented mildly, wiping sauce from her fingers. "Who's on the dotted line, family?" My sister's laugh came out strained. "It's all set through the dealer, great rates for new grads." But her eyes darted to her plate, avoiding the circle of faces now fully tuned in. Dad cleared his throat, attempting to steer back. "Let's not bore everyone with paperwork. Pass the beans." Mom nodded too quickly. "She's got it covered. Eat up before it gets cold." Aunt Diane didn't press, but her gaze lingered, sharp and assessing as she speared a rib. The conversation veered to weather and work updates, but the undercurrent hummed. I felt the weight of accumulated transfers pressing down the polite facade, cracking under simple scrutiny. As dusk settled and plates cleared, my sister excused herself to check the car, slipping away without retrieving any documents. The group dispersed slowly, but the question mark over that Tesla and everything it represented hung heavier than the fading grill smoke. The grill smoke faded in the backyard, tension thickening the air. Dad pushed back his chair with a screech that silenced the last murmurs, rising to his full height and jabbing a finger directly at my face. "You dare abandon your sister right when she's on the verge of success, after everything we've sacrificed as a family to keep you girls together." His voice boomed across the picnic table, veins bulging at his temples, drawing sharp intakes of breath from cousins who had been mid-bite on ribs. The string lights overhead swayed slightly in the evening breeze, casting flickering shadows over stunned expressions. Mom's eyes welled up instantly, tears spilling down her cheeks as she clutched her crumpled napkin like a lifeline. "All the years we raised you to share, to care, to put family first, Now you act this stingy and cruel. It's shameful, truly heartbreaking, and it breaks my heart to see you turn your back on blood. She dabbed frantically at her face with the napkin voice cracking between heaving sobs, prompting a cousin to slide a box of tissues across the table. Another relative shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting between us. My aunt leaned back in her folding chair, arms crossed tightly over her sundress, watching the unfolding drama with a measured silence that spoke volumes. The picnic table laden with half-eaten coleslaw bowls and corn cobs felt suddenly claustrophobic, every seat occupied by a mix of judgment, discomfort, or reluctant sympathy. I drew a slow, deliberate breath, the cumulative weight of 4 years of transfers settling like a stone in my chest, and spoke calmly amid the escalating volume. 4 years. $72,000 in total support, every penny documented. No more, not 1 cent ever again starting this second. The declaration landed like a thunderclap in the open air. Dad's face flushed deeper, crimson mouth opening wide for another explosive retort, but I pressed on evenly, voice steady despite the pounding in my ears. I've tracked every single transfer, every vague excuse, every promise that never materialized. It ends tonight permanently. Mom gasped sharply, her free hand flying to her chest as if physically struck. How can you be so cold and heartless? She's your blood. Your little sister. Does that mean nothing anymore? My sister bolted upright, then her metal chair scraping harshly against the concrete patio stones, nearly toppling backward. You're ruining everything I've worked for. I was so close to a major breakthrough with clients. Her voice cracked with raw desperation, eyes wide and pleading as she turned toward our parents for immediate reinforcement. Dad nodded vigorously, stepping closer. Exactly. You're sabotaging her future out of pure jealousy, admit it. I ignored the inflammatory bait, completely methodically gathering my car keys and phone from the cluttered table surface. The backyard's automatic string lights flickered on one by one as twilight deepened into night, casting elongated shadows over abandoned plates and cooling grill grates. My aunt finally broke her silence, voice soft, yet cutting through the chaos. Numbers don't lie, and neither do patterns. Maybe it's past time everyone listened to the facts instead of feelings. Her words hung briefly, but Mom's renewed wave of crying drowned them out, drawing more sympathetic pats on the back from relatives. Standing tall, I addressed the entire group one final time, my tone resolute and unyielding. I'm done being the endless, unquestioned backup plan while my own life stalls. Enjoy the rest of the evening without this burden. Dad lunged forward, impulsively planting himself squarely in my path toward the side gate. Walk out now, and don't you dare expect us to forget this betrayal. It'll follow you forever. I met his glare without flinching. The betrayal started long before tonight, and it wasn't from me. My sister shouted after me as I sidestepped Dad and strode purposefully toward the gate. You'll regret this deeply. When I make it big and famous, you'll be begging on your knees for forgiveness. The venomous words echoed off the wooden fence and neighboring houses, but I kept my pace steady, the gravel pathway crunching rhythmically under my shoes. Mom called my name once more, her voice a pleading wail laced with hysteria, yet no one rose to follow or intervene. Sliding into the driver's seat of my modest sedan, I started the engine with a low hum and pulled away from the curb without looking back. The BBQ lights and silhouetted figures shrank rapidly in the rearview mirror, the heated voices fading into the desert night. The 2-hour drive back to Phoenix stretched ahead on the dark interstate, quiet and resolute, every mile reinforcing the final, unbreakable line I had drawn in the dust. A week later in Phoenix, I sat at my desk compiling evidence. The idea struck during a quiet evening, a 3-minute video montage to lay everything bare without another wordy confrontation. I opened CapCut on my laptop and dragged in screenshots of Zelle transfers stretching back 4 years, timestamps glowing in neat rows. Next came the Nashville Instagram stories, champagne flutes, luxury suite shopping bags, frozen frames with dates overlaid. I added photos of the Tesla from the BBQ lease sticker visible and a simple spreadsheet tallying $72,000 in outgoing funds. For the voiceover, I recorded a calm narration in one take. This is what 4 years of support looked like. Every dollar, every excuse, every luxury it funded. No anger, just facts layered over soft background music. I exported the file, titled it plainly, and hovered over the send button in the family group chat. My finger trembled slightly, but resolve won. I added my aunt and her boyfriend to the recipients, then hit share. The chat exploded within minutes. Dad typed first furious emojis demands to take it down. Mom sent voice notes pleading through tears. My sister fired off a string of texts calling me vindictive and jealous. My aunt responded with a single thumbs-up emoji followed by a private message: truth needed air. Proud of you. Her boyfriend stayed silent at first, then left the chat entirely. Consequences unfolded faster than anticipated. 2 days later, my sister called in a panic. Her part-time social media job at the startup had slashed her hours to zero. The boss, a mutual connection in Austin's design circle, had seen the video circulating and cited reputational risk in an email. She begged me to delete it, promising repayment plans, but I declined politely. That same evening, a text from her boyfriend popped up. "This family drama is too much. I'm out, wish you the best." No explanation beyond avoiding the mess. She forwarded it to the group with crying emojis, blaming me for ruining her relationship. Relatives chimed in with mixed support. Some unfollowed her stories, others muted the chat. A month passed in relative silence from Tucson. Invites to Sunday dinners stopped arriving. Mom's birthday came and went without mention of me. Dad's golf buddies looped in via forwarded video distanced themselves from family gatherings. The isolation hit them socially. Whispers at neighborhood barbecues painted them as enablers. My aunt confirmed over coffee that attendance at their usual potlucks had dwindled. Meanwhile, I closed on a small condo in Phoenix, 2 bedrooms, modest balcony, mine, alone. The down payment came from rerouted funds once earmarked for endless support. Mornings felt lighter, evenings productive with personal projects. I blocked the family group temporarily, then permanently reclaiming peace, one notification at a time. The fallout taught a hard truth: boundaries are not betrayal, they're survival. Enabling without accountability erodes everyone involved. My sister faced real-world consequences, forcing her to confront habits built on handouts. Our parents learned that blind favoritism carries a social cost, and I discovered self-respect grows in the space once filled by resentment. To everyone who listened to the end, thank you for sticking with this journey. If you've set tough boundaries or faced family fallout, share your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real stories. Your experiences matter.